The Gaia Knife, the Gaia Blade, the first knife in the series of her eternal ceremonial knives. I've said for many releases that I would talk about these knives, their inspiration, their usage on a deeper level. So this project, as I call it, of ceremonial knives arose out of a discomfort and inquiry as to how I could reconnect to my own ancestral indigenous spiritual roots. I was noticing a trend in people of European lineages reaching for others' indigenous ancestral spiritual practices. And there was kind of a hole in my soul in reflecting upon this. And I knew that there were roots in my own lineage of deep spiritual relationships, so I began to investigate them both in sort of meditation, cosmic making, myth reading. I talk a lot about how I read myths. And my ancestors, those in Europe and pretty much indigenous cultures throughout the world, had very strong relationships to the earth. We call these skills shamanic, people that were able to see into the other realms of the mundane and beyond the mundane and relate to these realms. We all have these sorts of lineages. We would not be here if our ancestors did not. It's too hard to survive on Earth. But here we go, knives. Knives of the times that I was drawn to were pre-Christian times. But as Christianity swept through Europe, one of the first things they did was to take away a woman's knife. Now, a knife at that time, of course, was a tool, a survival tool. That's how you cut your rabbits, your vegetables. It was how you would protect yourself. So there was an imprint in me, and I'm sure there are in people all around the world, of having their tools taken away. And knives, I now know, are very difficult to make. It's difficult to craft in metal. And they were given names, and they were heirlooms, and they were handed down. So this was also to sort of unravel that imprint in my system. Gaia, this is a vernacular word to describe the consciousness of the earth body. There is a consciousness tying all things together. And the ancestors of European lineages, Celtic, Welsh, Scottish, Irish, German, Swedish, their relationship to divinity was embedded in the material realm. They perceived the material realm to be divine itself, and they would name the waters, the trees, the land masses, the rock, the sky, the sun, the moon, through names of powers that were embedded in these forces. So to draw on this body of knowledge was a way of being in conversation with my ancestors. Because if I were to travel to someone else's ancestral lineage, I am cutting off the relationship. I could have this luminous conversation I could have with my own grandmothers. Talking about spirituality is a very sweet conversation. It's not talking about religion. It's talking about what you carry within yourself. It's where you hold your faith. It's where you hold your magic. So it's a really incredible way to connect to your ancestral lineage, to dive into the wisdom bodies of spiritual practices and knowledge. So the Gaia Knife, we are no longer as concerned with using knives for protection and survival, but we are very concerned with how we are going to survive with our disconnect from the spiritual world. This is the world, this is the survival mechanism we need to recultivate. And this particular knife has a blade here, which is for cutting cords, which is a super complex, multi-layer practice unto its own. But cutting cords, meaning cutting cords from people, entities, perceptions, realities, histories, ley lines that you no longer want to be engaged with. And has a very soft sort of edge that can be used to release the memory patterns that are stored in your fascia, beneath your skin or in your glands. This part of the blade is like a scribe for, you have seen me maybe in videos, carving ether, speaking to stars, drawing my runes. The way that we inscribe, speak, communicate our intentions is the beginning of our manifestation. And we are a species with so many ways to speak our intentions, through our bodies, through our voice, through our dreams, through our minds, through our writing, through our making. But the more ways that we do this, we set those wheels in motion for our manifestation by the ways that we inscribe or speak our intentions. This part, these hooks, are for hooking energetics that you might want to bring into your life, or untying and unhooking energetics that are stored in your body or somewhere in your reality. This cross here signifies divinity dropping down into form, or divinity grounding itself into the spiritual divine reality of form. Gaia, as we know, is one of the most profound, sophisticated spiritual teachers we can have. Here she is, right here with us, the ultimate manifester, the ultimate wisdom carrier of how to manifest and be in connectivity between the divine and form. When we want to gather information, we go to the earth. Those who are earth practitioners or spiritual earth practitioners will concur with this. But if we need information as to what is happening with our evolution, we can turn to her. If we need information about how things are not fitting properly, we turn to her. If we want support in our own evolutionary journey, we can lean into her. She is also on an evolutionary journey. So on the back of this, there are 4 dots. Those signify the 4 directions. I do a lot of practices looking to each and calling upon the wisdom and powers of each of the directions. And then there's the engraved. There is a Celtic knot, Solomon's knot, a non-ending, ever-weaving knot as a protective symbol. This knife is made out of bronze. It's soon to be cast in silver and maybe heirloom silver. So there's different scales of the Gaia. There's Gaia 1, Gaia 2, and Gaia 3. So Gaia 2 is a pendant and is to be worn as sort of a shield. It can be used as a tool also, but it can be placed where you need some shielding. And then Gaia 3, the one I wear every day, I put it on as a way of remembering that my life is here by her grace, and that I am invoking the depth of my sort of consecration of my energy to be in collaboration with her for the opportunity to be on her sacred garden on this spaceship, this Earth ship. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your support, your love, your enthusiasm. Bless your journey on Gaia. Blessed be.